This is the Okeanos Explorer. And Mike's letting us know that the whole animal is bioluminescent, and it lights up if disturbed. Of course, in pitch black environments in the deep ocean, bioluminescence, that is the light that's created by chemical actions within each organism. They can be used for a variety of purposes, attraction of prey, avoidance of prey. We're seeing mating. We're seeing all kinds of adaptations of organisms in a pitch black environment to conducting their lives. And it's one of the great things about visiting this part of the planet is being able to see these organisms at work, conducting their daily business. We are evanescent visitors. We come and we move by and we're gone again, and the pitch black returns.
Hey, Jamie, this is Steve. I was reading somewhere that these holothurians, while they're bioluminescent, when they're attacked by something, they can actually transfer some of the bioluminescence onto the predator, making the predator more susceptible to predation and potentially help prolong its life.
That I had never heard.
Wow. It's like being paint inked at the bank.
Yeah, there's a YouTube on it, oddly enough.
As a human being over 60, I realize how much information I'm actually missing by not being more of a Twitter, Facebook, YouTube person. But it really is true that I doubt there's much out there now that is not being covered by some social network or another. Another glass sponge.
Yep. Hexactinellid. It's a tube. This one is not sealed on the end. Many of them are, so it must be a different species than we were seeing yesterday or the day before.
All right, Dan, it's good. Full wide.
Full wide.
I've seen enough of these in the last few days laying on their side that it makes me wonder if it's an accident or, they're deposited down there, or actually whether that's a growth form preference.
Yeah, they might be growing in or out of the current. Because I'm not sure. Maybe we should go back and look and see which direction they're all going. We seem to always come up on them facing the tube end.
That might be selection on our part for the most picturesque ones as well.
Or the ROV's doing it. Yeah, our ROV pilots are doing it on purpose.
Yeah, we might have a little selection bias going on.
We have another one of these trace marks. Trails.
Snap this shrimp.
Zooming in.
Great.
Oop, there's a small polychaete worm swimming too. Oh, we just ate it!
Wow.
Deep sea predation! Yay! That was awesome.
That worked out well. Okay, full wide.
Taking full advantage of our lights. Full wide. All right, time to push ahead, Jeff.
Copy. Who says there's nothing going on down here?
So far, that was the highlight of the day.
If anybody's watching your internet, Stephanie got excited about that predation about 10 seconds after it happened on your video screen. But, that's just because of a delay.
Which of the
I think
wire
that,
has been greased on the
we
drum?
might be hearing. At least we were hearing it at a different time than we saw it.
You're about 10 seconds behind us?
Yeah.
Yeah, on shore side, if you monitor stream 3, you can actually see our clocks. That way you can compare your local clocks to see how far the delay is.
Have a good lunch, Amanda. Again, I want to remind everybody, in case you've forgotten, I sometimes do, that it's a holiday, essentially a holiday. It's Easter Sunday. Happy Easter. We know that you're all busy with family and other fun things. We can't think of anything we'd rather do than be out here right now. That's why we're bringing you this dive on Easter Sunday. Our pilots literally, we chain them to their seats. They love it. They love it here. Well, that's I'm actually I'm good. So this is called Sunday on the Okeanos Explorer. We get to have ice cream Sundays later. That's about as much fun as we have out here on the Okeanos, other than diving on the seafloor. Yeah, let's get a zoom there, Jeff.
They used to have movie night every Friday. I don't know why they don't do that anymore.
We've actually had movies occasionally on the Okeanos. When I was out here in 2012, they put a sheet over the high bay area, and actually everybody's out on the fantail watching a movie. That's kind of fun.
That looks like detritus of some kind to me. Plant material or
something.
Looks
like it might have been an old coral.
Or maybe,
stalk.
yeah,
old coral stalk.
Broken stalk.
Well, hopefully we'll see some live ones before the day is over.
But this is promising. That means there might be some living ones around here.
Although, because we're in a canyon system and we've got a rippled system suggesting a downslope current, at least episodically, it's hard to know where this stalk might actually have come from. I don't know how long they stay in the seafloor. We were talking about them being partially protein-based, so they may last a long time. That's great, guys.
Full wide.
Thank you. That's better. Thanks, Josh.
See where you are in Sirius?
I do.
It's sometimes worth remembering how small we are relative to the scale of the features we're studying. If you take a state map, any state map that you want, big enough to fill a tabletop, and pick out a road on one of those state maps, and then take a pin and put the pin into the map along one of those roads, and then ask yourself this question: how many of these pinpricks could I put in this map from one side of the state to the other? That might give you an idea of how small we are relative to the canyon system that we're studying. It's amazing to me when I look at the scale of our dives relative to the map of the Gulf of Mexico, what a very small amount of terrain we're actually surveying on every one of these dives. And it's worth remembering that. We can convince ourselves that we've characterized an area, but in fact, we almost never do that completely. We just, we're literally doing a pinprick on the face of the Gulf of Mexico. But what we see is fascinating and does help us characterize the deep ocean, which is a virtual unknown in the world today. This is the Okeanos Explorer. Wow. Oh, sure. Great. We're giving exclamations here because our video engineer, Roland, has just given us Easter candy, which we're not allowed to actually eat in the control van. So although my cohort in crime here, Stephanie Farrington, is actually sneaking out now to enjoy her Easter candy, leaving me to the mercy of the biology. Yeah, if we got time, Jeff, we can get a zoom here. I think it's sargassum again, but take a look.
Ready when you are.
Go ahead.
Go bridge.
Video.
Jamie,
Another
it
100,
might be
please.
interesting to point out that it's a good thing we have all the mapping going on that we do in the ocean, because even though we can't drop to the bottom and see everything, the maps are the way we choose these target areas, and we can make predictions from the maps about what we might see down there and then verify whether or not those predictions are right. So they help us sort of fill in the blanks, which are huge in the ocean, with at least pretty good guesses about what might be there.
Yeah, that was Steve Giddings, one of our biologists, chiming in. Ocean exploration begins with good maps of the seafloor. And the Okeanos Explorer spends most nights mapping in areas. That's one of NOAA's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's big tasks, is to map the seafloor all around what we call the exclusive economic zone of the United States, which is an enormous area and includes a number of marine sanctuaries. And Bill Keeney is joining us from that program. Yeah, it all begins with good maps. We simply couldn't even choose these targets. We actually had mapped this area last night to make sure that we knew where we were going to dive this morning, and double check that it was what we thought it was before coming out here. So couldn't agree more, Steve. And this is actually originally a military technology. When we talk about multi-beam mapping capability, these are technologies that we have borrowed from the military. Developed in response to national security and strategic issues, and now they're available to the scientific communities in a number of countries to use for mapping purposes. And without understanding the morphology of the seafloor, which can itself be diagnostic of many large-scale and even smaller-scale geologic processes, putting our ROVs down on what are essentially pinpricks on the seafloor would be really, really flying blind. So that's a great comment. This is the Okeanos Explorer.
You passed Snowfear right a few minutes ago. I don't know if anyone else saw that.
I did not.
Small brittle star.
But you were gone eating your Easter candy, so I can be forgiven for missing a brittle star. How was it, by the way?
Yummy.
Good. I have been a good boy and have not opened mine yet. I will do so though. We want to zoom. We've got several burrows now on the seafloor, and we've got. I think I keep wanting to call it a grenadier, but it isn't. It's one of these roughhead. What did we call it?
The lamprey, the snailfish.
Is that what it is? Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's another rock. I thought it was a fish.
I think it's a rock or something.
It is a rock. I thought it was a fish, but it's another one of the. Well.
No, can we get a good close? Can we get close on that?
Is that a Holothurian?
Give me a moment here.
I don't know.
Sure.
Still drifting.
Yeah, if we can get a zoom on this, that'd be great. Looks like it's got some sargassum associated with it, but it looks more interesting than that. It does look like our piece of consolidated sediment.
Okay, Dan.
All right,
Oh, it's
zooming in.
pink. Which makes me think it might be live or have something living on it.
Well,
Like almost like polyps or something. I don't have a clue. If anyone out there can guess what this might be. I mean, it's definitely sargassum on the back and the top.
yeah, we've got some sargassum associated with it, but that's not what this is. It looks like it's encrusted with, are they sponges? Wow.
It's full zoom.
Rhizoans, maybe.
It looks completely biological. It doesn't look like there's any geology associated with it, but it looks alive.
It's the Easter bunny, Mike says.
It's the Easter bunny. Right.
I think it's a rock encrusted with bryozoans, if I'm going to take a guess.
Wow. It does look a little like the
Alright,
Easter bunny, I
I'm
must
above you
say.
right now.
It's pink.
Copy above me. Watch lead. I need to.
Those do look like sort of foliaceous bryozoans.
Can we get
the white
lasers just before we go?
Yeah,
Sure,
bryozoans.
popping out.
Like,
Lasers on, coming out.
That's
And
great.
the white in the middle there, I'm not so sure.
All right.
Well,
Time
the
to
little
go.
white,
All right,
the little
Okay,
white thing.
soft.
It looks, yeah, like it might be a Sidian or something,
full wide.
but I can't be
Yeah,
sure.
how's that look?
Well, I don't think we've seen anything like that so far on any of the dives we've done. So but one of the reasons that we collect high quality video is to allow those who are not joining us for the dive to visit our videos afterwards, and a lot of people do that and study what we've observed. So even if they're not visiting us or accompanying us on the dive itself, we take high quality video. We take very good care to zoom in and look at things in detail so that people have a chance to look at the video later. That's more sargassum, I think. We're moving at 0.2 knots. That's about 370 meters an hour over the seafloor. That gives us enough pace to cover ground, but generally, unless we see something very interesting, we have a little time to zoom in on things we see, but we can keep moving. If we do see really interesting phenomenon and we need to stop the vessel, we can always do that. And we are always ready to do that if we see something that requires more time.
Dan asks if all the striations we're seeing are a result of sediment movement. I actually think they're sand ripples.
Well, but that's exactly right. I mean, I don't think they're downward. I think we're looking at a current across the trend of the ROV, Dan. And up current here is to the left-hand side of the view you're looking at, and downhill here is to the right. So we're moving up a slope, and I think these ripples are evidence for an occasional downslope current in the canyon. Can't prove that. They're oscillatory ripples, so we can't see a current direction from the ripples themselves. But based on the currents we were measuring further up canyon, the currents we were measuring were downslope currents. We're not seeing much current today, but I think that's what we're seeing evidence of, is at least episodic downslope current. We did see one small rock that was clearly displaced. It's what I call float. That did suggest that it had been brought in by current or from gravity. So it's either coming from upslope by gravity or coming along with current pulses that generally characterize submarine canyons. Call them turbidity currents. They often pick up sediment. That's why they're turbid flows, and they can be quite chaotic and quite rapid. We would not want to see a major turbidity current with our ROVs on the seafloor, but they are also very aperiodic.
There's like 3 parallel lines running.
Yeah, those, again, they're very much crossing the trend of the ripples, and I must say, I'm not sure what those are. They look suspiciously like man-made marks. And again, we're at a water depth here of over 2,600 meters. I would be hard-pressed to know what they would be if they're man-made.
Yeah, they're probably a crab or something. I can't imagine them. They're too little too, I don't know, loose, wiggly to be man-made, I think. Here's another one.
There is clearly a biological trace. That's a meandering, probably holothurian. In fact, it could be
the upper right.
The holothurian we actually are seeing in the upper right-hand view.
Yeah.
Is it a fish? Okay, well,
Okay, just zoom in on it as I work into it.
Absolutely right. So it's not a holothurian. I think it's a holothurian trace, but I think what we're seeing, Roland is right. It's a fish. We'll get a view of it, a close-up view. This is another one of these Bathysaurus. Mike Vecchione chimes in. Top predator, according to Mike, in the deep sea.
Okay, stand by.
Got a great view of it on a dive earlier this week.
It's a deep sea lizardfish.
He's going to sense us. I was needing to be in our light pool there.
Don't you take these. Okay.
All right, how about there?
Fine. Fine. I'll take yours. We're arguing over Easter candy. We're getting a good view of this Bathysaurus. We had a great view the other day. They really are forbidding looking fish. You can see why they call them top predators. They're really not very happy looking organisms.
They have pretty big teeth too.
Yeah, let's try to get a view of the eyeball there, Jeff. If we can swing around and get a close up of what Mike calls the eye shine, the tapetum or tapetum.
Tapetum lucidum.
They literally, I guess, they reflect. They don't look living until they eat you, I guess.
And there's something on his back by his dorsal fin. If we get a zoom on that too, when you're done with the eye. See, a tapetum lucidum is how light reflects
Go
off the
ahead.
back of the eye, like a
Yeah,
cat
go
when,
ahead.
when you shine light at a cat, so they can see better in the dark. So you can see it's reflective.
Full zoom.
Along with the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Tilting down.
Let me know if you want me to come back partial.
Sharp-looking teeth is right. I would not want to be your migrating biology right in front of him.
I was hoping a shrimp would swim by.
That would, well, we have seen instances, not where this organism, but of predation happening. I gather you saw some while I was out of the van.
Yeah.
And it is always just fascinating how violent and how brief these things are.
Right.
You know, they're
Wait for it.
looks like some kind of a marking associated with his dorsal fin. That's good work, Jeff.
Wait for it.
I can
You're
come
gonna have to-
partial if you
have
want.
to pull out a little.
Bouncing around a little
I
bit.
can't,
Yeah, we got a little bit too much movement here
I'm gonna.
as we say goodbye to our Bathysaurus, who seems completely oblivious to our presence. I always find that
There's a shrimp
fascinating.
up
Got a
to his,
4-ton ROV wandering by him,
top.
and he's just too busy to be bothered by it.
Okay, that's full wide.
okay.
Mike's making the point that the tapetum allows light
Do
to
we got
pass through the
lasers on
retina
them?
twice, allowing twice as likely
Let's get-
detection
did
of
we
each
get lasers
photon.
on?
So clearly optimized for low light conditions. You know, Mother Nature is great. We really do, and you can see the lasers there right on the fish right now. So it's about 25 centimeters long, about a quarter of a meter.
Lasers off. Excellent.
You can move on, Jeff, at your leisure.
Here we
And
go.
it's time to move on. Look at that.
It's amazing how Mother Nature adapts to environments, how organisms adapt.
Small shrimp.
Come out of that area of rippled seafloor now. So we saw that the other day. We saw areas where the seafloor was rippled, areas where the seafloor is not. I think that's quite characteristic. You would see areas where turbulent flows, downslope flows impact the seafloor, creating these ripples, and areas that are not impacted. In a system as big as the Keathley Canyon system, that would be something that I would expect.
I would call that a royal red shrimp, but Mary's not on the line to confirm or deny. So.
Right, Mary is not with us today. She's
Okay, full wide.
we have another team of young and not so young engineers coming in to
Full wide.
to replace the team.
Hi, Dave.
Some more sargassum.
Yeah, no, I think across that bench, I'm going to go 0.2. So when we get up to the first waypoint or the waypoint 2, I'm gonna cross that bench at higher speed.
Okay.
The trouble is if you go
This little weird footprint-like.
Those are the Easter Bunny's footprints. We've seen the Easter
That's
Bunny,
better.
and those are the footprints. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Are you on 5 or
Yeah.
2?
Like 2,600 plus meters, right?
0.2 knots. I should say.
2608.
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like
Yeah,
me
so-
just to continue
So
to
according,
move?
the other
We'll
day we
get to
were
the end of
seeing
it.
those
Just keep on at
marks in the
0.2.
bottom that might be whale disturbances, or that was the possible idea. We're still in the range of the depth of the maximum diving depth for Cuvier's beak whales,
Right.
probably
The
beyond the
steepest
depth of
part of
any
the slope
sperm whale
ahead on
diving.
multi-beam
But
averages
it'll be
rising
interesting to
10
see if we
meters
see
over
any
30.
evidence of those disturbance marks down at these depths.
Yeah,
Beak whales,
and then
it
we
looks like dive
transitioned.
to-
Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
I was just going to say the deepest numbers I see on the web for diving of beaked whales is about 2,900 meters, so just a little bit beyond
Bridge nav.
this.
That's right. I could have sworn the other day that we were looking at those resting traces, but then we transitioned upslope into this very hummocky, disturbed seafloor that I thought might
Bridge
be related. Jason Chater at the USGS thought it was a landslide debris field,
could
and I
we,
think
when this
gravity
move is
was
over,
playing a
could we
role.
add
But
100 meters
I think
to
we
it?
were also looking at the effects of upward
you.
movement of subsurface salt. So that got me a little
Is it
worried
easy
about
just to add 100?
these
Okay.
topographic slashes. I thought it might mostly be geologic. So, but you're right. We'll be on the lookout for them in these water depths. Theoretically, whales can get this deep. So we'll look as we go.
Yeah,
Video, let's
those
get
traces
half
the other day
Half zoom, I.
seemed to me to have some odd shapes to them that went beyond simple slumps
Holding
and
there.
slides. There was sort of a clumping of sediments on the uphill side, it looked like a few times, to where it looked like something got in there and nuzzled around her.
When I first
More
looked at
zoom
them,
in.
we found resting traces of whales in the eastern Med on Nautilus, and they
Yeah,
looked
bringing the
exactly
levels
like that to
down.
me when I first looked at them.
Got another holothurian.
Hoping for
This
a
is the
liftoff
culprit
here.
for some of the seafloor trails that we see. What is
If
the
he's gonna
average
be
forward
stationary, we
speed of
go
a
normal.
holothurian like this that isn't
Little bit like there.
swimming?
Yeah, still.
Really
Does anyone
slow.
does anyone know?
I think that's us.
Yeah, he's getting an inkling.
I'm sure we know, but
He's getting an inkling here.
Oops.
Somebody knows, but oops.
There we go.
well,
There's the underside.
he was on the seafloor, but that's us doing that to him. That's not the holothurian.
Now
And
he's
there he
like,
goes.
huh.
He's
Okay.
not happy with the fact that we've blown him off his perch.
Little holothurian ballet.
It's probably a
going here.
protective posture there. If he gets
Roger
blown
that.
off, he probably folds up.
He's gonna start flopping around.
Oh, he's.
We do our best not to do that. We don't like to disturb the seafloor we see and cloud our video with our own thrusters, but that occasionally happens.
That probably exceeds his normal lateral speed right there.
Okay, well that's.
Otherwise, he's a highly unusual sea
Coming out.
cucumber.
Full wide. Now?
It's. You know, D2 is a big vehicle, and it doesn't.
Where you see these
Swoop
traces of what we think are
gracefully.
sea cucumbers and other organisms, the sediment tends to be a little lighter. And that's because the browner color that you see is slightly richer in organic material that's raining down from above. That's the marine snow that you see in the water column in front of us. It's mostly living organisms, or what we call detritus, bits and pieces of organisms and waste and so on that are filtering slowly down through the water column from above and end up on the seafloor, and that is the food source for a lot of the organisms we see crossing the seafloor in front of us. So when they hoover up the light brown material as food, we see the lighter sediment beneath them. And that's also an indicator of what we see in the ripples. The crests of the ripples are lighter and therefore a little browner. They're the organic material, and in between, the troughs between the ripples are showing the underlying sediment. And it helps us see the ripples on the
Just
seafloor.
down here.
Yep. Going for it.
Okay, zoom.
Half.
Half, huh?
Got something neat.
Sponge.
Yeah, hold.
Another hexactinellid sponge, it looks like.
Another sponge, yeah.
Pirouette.
Again, facing downhill.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that we're generally transecting uphill during this dive. We're on about an 11-degree slope right now, and these sponges do appear to be
Roger.
systematic. We've seen 3 or 4 of
Looks
these.
like we
They
have
do
a little
seem to
more
be
zoom creep when I pull
pointed
out.
downhill away from the current, and yet they are filter feeders, and that is it's worth pointing that out. However, they are facing up canyon, up into the. I think they're facing into the big current, even though they're more or less facing down slope on this local slope. So they may be sensing the current that's creating these ripples, and I do believe that they're mostly facing up canyon. And so I think for the most part they may be reacting to the dominant water flow, which is more or less left to right in our view.
They've imaged those already.
Not sure what the water flow is over hexactinellids, but in shallow water coral reef situations, the big vase sponges and so forth, they take in water through the sides of the colony, and it exudes through the operculum at the top, the big hole. So, it doesn't seem like they would need to face into a current in any particular way, since they're taking water in throughout their whole body if they do it the same way.
Absolutely, but it might be that they need to orient with their short dimension along the current, so that they're minimally disturbed when currents go by. I'm just speculating here, but they're in a canyon system. Yeah, that canyon system is occasionally quite erosive, so it would be important for them to try to minimize that disturbance, I would think.
Right.
That's something up here.
The Deep Discoverer just passed 2,600 meters. We got in the sea. We got our water depth at the start of the dive was. I wrote it down. 2655. So we've come up about 55 meters since the start of the dive.
Looks like we have another holothurian.
We're getting a little off course, Dave. I came around to look at you.
Okay,
Jelly
I'll
bean
get
one?
back on
here.
Jelly bean.
It's certainly consistent with the one we just saw, and we've done the same thing to it. We've basically blown it over.
Is there a pressure wave?
Shows you how little mass they have.
I'm not
We're
sure that was
doing
us.
much disturbance of the
Maybe
seafloor.
he's not alive.
They must literally
he's
just
moving
fly
to the
down
left. I would've
canyon
blown
when
him
one
to
of
the
these
right.
flows does
So,
come by.
Right.
Seems quite.
Oh, we're not even moving the sediment around him.
No.
No,
So
that's.
yeah, it's barely anything.
That's ambient current, not.
ROV
Some
nav, when
very
we
small
do,
particulate matter moving from right to
let's
left.
pick it up to
You can see it
0.3.
there.
A little bit more zoom here, since he's
Roger.
Copy that. Watch lead.
nicely
This is
ventral
the
here.
underside of him. You can see his mouth. Oops.
Pilots, Nev.
Go ahead now.
Given the
Trying to flip himself.
terrain, are you guys comfortable with going 0.3?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I would wait just a second until he gets back out.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the steepest part right now, which is about 3 to 1, rising 10 over 30. And then it actually flattens out up ahead. You can see there's a big shoulder.
Yeah, Dave, you only have a couple more
And
seconds.
ROV nav,
You can go ahead and call it in. I'll be able to.
Go ahead, watch lead.
ROV nav, we're going to
It's
want to
okay
go to
wide.
0.4 at waypoint 2.
Full wide eye.
Copy that.
Thank you.
Full wide. Levels up.
Ship moves 09092 nav.
Yes, 092.
Copy that.
So, just to give you an idea. I mean, when you floor this vehicle,
Yeah.
you can cover ground quite quickly, and you guys should be practicing and getting good with your ability to dash, so you're doing it when you have to.
Dave, how fast would you say you're going right now?
That's
Yeah.
our heading, Dave.
I can probably make two knots over the bottom easy.
Would you say you're doing some
sargassum.
large fraction of that right now as we're looking at you?
Yeah. I hesitate to make stuff up because we can measure it, so I'm not going to put a number on it. But
Let's measure it in a few minutes. I can
We
drop
can-
2 points.
well, actually, the DVL will do that for us.
Oh, okay.
And
I actually didn't think you could go that fast.
well, if you go that fast, that's all you can do is go fast. And when you come to a stop,
Right, right.
you can see the pressure wave. Well, that's actually a little bit of vertical thrust. You see the Sirius view there.
But also, you have to then have the ship going that fast and Sirius going that fast.
Oh well, sure. I mean, the point's well taken. I just, that's a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
That's
How many horse?
I'm impressed. I'm gonna call him Hot Rod Dave.
Bridge, Nav.
Call him Right Power.
Hey, could we increase the speed of this move to 0.3 knots?
Yeah.
Copy that. We'll likely extend it. Okay, bridge is increasing to 0.3 knots.
We're increasing our speed slightly. We're seeing some holothurians, but we're not seeing much in the way of hard substrate. Weak case. However, I may lose my bio cohort here shortly. Who now that I have told her about the coffee cake,
I have missed bacon every morning
run out.
since I've been on this boat.
I haven't eaten a breakfast. Well, I had one breakfast. It's good. Very important.
To make up for my bacon loss.
That's right.
Ooh, we got something good.
There's
What's
something-
that?
Working on it.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna follow you around.
Tis a fish, I believe.
I don't know if he has something in his mouth or he's two-tone.
I think it's two-tone.
Two-tone coloration.
He's
here.
toning though.
Tripod.
He's moving along. That was another one to the upper left, so we got a couple here. Does 2 constitute a school? I don't think so.
Just trying to outrun my
Looks like a tripod, I think.
dust cloud here.
I was going to say it looked a little bit like a tripod, but he was moving too fast for me to.
Looks like a different one than we've been seeing.
It's
Sitting
definitely a
higher
lot
on
taller.
his fins.
I think it is what it is, though, is a tripod fish. And it's encouraging to know that they.
Oh, no.
Well, no, maybe not. He doesn't like the ROV though. I'm always amazed at how unmindful many of these fish are of the ROV.
More active than his darker cousins.
Right.
Well, look at his tail. He's got
Yeah.
He's aware that we're here and doesn't like the fact that we're here. Oh well, Dave, don't sweat it. If he,
Well, there's nothing else going on,
let's
Jamie.
not,
So
let's not
Can we
give him a
try
heart
to
attack,
zoom
though,
on that?
Dave.
Yeah,
I
we
don't want
can
to
try.
cause the demise
Thanks.
of the.
We'll just see
Hold
if we
that
get
there
him
for
for
a
a
sec.
second.
Yeah, he is lighter colored. Is
Yeah.
it a different species
Yeah,
of tripod
It
fish?
definitely is because
A
he's
little more
sitting
zoom.
way higher off
Where's
the
it,
ground
Maya?
than the other
Holding?
one
Yeah,
we were
perfect.
looking at. And then the other one has those long tendrils.
We got something.
Yeah,
coming out of
forward.
his
That one
back
doesn't.
leg.
That one
again,
didn't.
Wide.
he doesn't usually go very far.
I came all the way around. To
The
look
very
at you.
fact that you're chasing him, though, is going to keep
Keep
him
90 degrees.
keep him moving along.
Yeah. All right, getting myself east.
Oh, it was a good job, though.
All
You
cameras full wide.
scared 30 years life off that tripod fish who hasn't moved that much in its entire life,
Might
perhaps.
check Doppler and see what my.
We are now at a water depth of 2,585 meters. We are climbing a slope here,
Cooking.
roughly 11-degree slope. We're getting
EZL
up towards the
says
top of the slope, and then we'll be
7.8.
crossing a pretty flat bench
Says
between.
1.
Is that what
Meters
units is that?
per
Meters per
second.
second?
I think it's meters. Yeah.
So that's
We will transit that
1.4
bench with
knots.
some alacrity and work our way over to the next slope.
Uphill.
That's full tilt. 100% forward there.
0.85.
So 0.8 meters.
1.6.
Wow. It's moving.
Did very well on my 2 tables.
What's the conversion from meters per second to knots?
Ed's got a lot.
50
locked
centimeters a second
Times
is a knot.
2.
Half a meter, or 50, yeah, half a meter a second is a knot.
down. Okay, so yeah, about 1.5, 1.6. He was going 0.85 meters a second. 1.6 exactly.
We're back on some rippled seafloor. We started out in rippled seafloor, we got out of it for a while, and we're back in rippled seafloor. And as I mentioned earlier, I think this is pretty typical. You'll see bursts of current making these ripples.
Go ahead, Bridge.
And we were in a current of a knot the other day at the floor
Copy
of
that,
Keathley
Bridge.
and did not see any
Is our
sediment
move
moving.
complete also?
So it suggests that you
Okay,
need current in
could we do another
excess
move?
of a knot to get the sediment moving.
100 meters, bearing 092 at 0.2 knots.
We have a Serianthid anemone right
Bridge nav.
dead center, I think.
Quick zoom.
Quick zoom.
Good.
Yep.
Bridge nav.
A burrowing anemone.
Okay.
Hey, actually 0.3 knots for that move.
Wide, please.
Wide eye.
Copy. Thank you.
And a
Pull
little
wide.
more sargassum. We're back out of the ripples again now.
Something a little possibly sponge-like.
Yep, there's another Serianthid and a star.
Not sure what we
Go
got.
for it.
Half zoom.
Half zoom. Holding.
A little bit
Yep,
more.
that's another sponge.
Zooming. Holding.
Hexactinellid sponge. Again, facing downhill.
Okay.
It looks like
wide,
it's sitting on a
got
little
light on
outcrop.
that. What else we got?
Straight ahead.
I think that's another sargassum.
It's always much more interesting at the edge of the light than when it's fully bathed in it.
Yeah, you just let your imagination turn it into whatever it is you wish you were seeing.
Cannon.
There's another star right there,
Yep.
left to center.
Quick zoom.
Quick zoom. Holding.
Run. Yeah, run tilt.
Ophiuroid.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Okay, and out.
Thanks. Just kind of adopting a hit and run policy.
Yeah, we've
Oh, they don't
know
care.
what it is.
Not
and
when we're
we've
done.
seen them.
If you
We
want to go down,
ID'd
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah.
And then
If it's a
by
curiosity.
the time you
we
get
will
down there,
record.
it'll be close enough.
Quick zoom.
Quick
Think
zoom.
this
There's
just-
a little bit of rocks underneath this.
Yeah, hold that. Oh, it's just a little sargassum
Right,
stuff
but
wide.
may I come out?
Yeah.
There's rocks, I think, just off to your right, maybe? Hard to say. That bottom looks different.
Little change in the quality of the seafloor here. They got a little more coarser grained material.
Yeah.
Some chunkiness. Okay, wide, please.
Wide eye. There's also a mound off to your port in the distance.
Yeah, I was headed for that when I.
Yeah. Hit this right,
paused.
guys.
There's another feeding trace for an
Worm.
Echiuran. That one's more than kind of 180 degrees. He's worked his way through most of his circle.
We once upon a time actually were able to image that with the worm out and
Right. Yeah.
raking.
I actually remember that. Come out a long way.
Yeah.
These look suspiciously like burrows. I don't think we're seeing the burrowed side, but it does look like burrows to me.
Looking for the
Entrance.
hole from whence this material might have come.
That's right.
I'm coming up with.
Well, you know, again, the temptation is to call them some kind of a resting trace for an organism that has burrowed in there and disturbed the sediment to kind of nestle in, like rays do. We saw rays do that, and then move on. I'm not saying a ray did this, but it looks like something. It's a disturbance related to an organism sitting on the seafloor.
Let's hold that. Huh. Okay, wide, please.
Wide eye. Full wide.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're seeing a number of these and a quite pronounced rippled seafloor now. And the orientation of these ripples relative to the trend of the ROV has not changed. Up slope is, or up canyon is to the left, down canyon is to the right. We're going up a slope that faces the canyon, but the trend of the ripples we're seeing is quite prominent and in an up canyon, down canyon direction. Mike, I think you're right. I don't remember seeing any rays, skates, sharks, or chimeras, or chimeras, I guess it's chimeras, on the cruise yet. Those do look like resting traces for rays we saw in the Mediterranean. But until we see one, of course, we can't confirm that. Chimera, thank you. And I've seen them, and that's thanks for the pronunciation there, Dave.
Holding there.
That's good.
Now there again, that's the darker tripod. We had a lighter one that was considerably more active. This one seems quite sanguine about the ROV approaching.
Yeah, this is the species we've seen a little more. Well, we haven't seen that other one except at one time, as far as I know, on this trip. But this one's the one we've seen more commonly. I see on the NOAA library that this one's. We haven't identified it yet on the NOAA library, but I have a little trouble finding it on the web too. So I'm not sure what it is.
And it doesn't seem nearly as excitable, although we're exciting it now.
Okay, slow pull.
Roger, slow pull.
He's right there.
Is he up in the water column?
Yeah, he went up.
Yeah. I don't even see him in Sirius. That's full wide.
Yeah, his silver cousin is much more excitable.
Yep.
We'll try to creep up on one next time with a little bit more stealth, if that's possible.
Bridge, Nev.
Very prominent rippled seafloor here. It's very clear that
could we extend this move by 100 meters?
that this seafloor is seeing periodic currents that are strong enough to make these ripples happen.
Sponge.
We are not seeing that right now, but that doesn't mean that that these currents don't happen. They do. They're just aperiodic. Yeah, let's get a zoom there, Dave.
Come on in, Ed. Halfway.
Roger.
Another
Zooming
sponge.
and holding here.
Yep.
Focus.
You know, this one again with its long
Levels
axis
down
oriented
just a little bit.
up canyon.
Sorry.
This one is facing into that current, presuming that current is coming
More
from up
zoom
canyon.
eye. Holding there.
And we've got another organism just to the left of it. Is that a shrimp?
No, it's a piece of.
Oh, is
sargassum.
it
It's
weed?
shaped like a shrimp.
Boy,
but
it sure
it's-
looks like something, doesn't it?
And wide, please.
And wide eye. Levels up. Done.
What we have to do when we're transiting the seafloor at speeds like 0.3 knots with the Okeanos Explorer is that we can stop and zoom in and look at biology we see with the Deep Discoverer, but she's on the end of a 30-meter tether below the Sirius camera platform,
See
which
some
is
indentations on
pretty
Sirius
hard
camera.
attached to the
Headed for it.
Okeanos Explorer with a much heavier duty wire, and so we have to catch up with the Sirius periodically if we slow down and look at biology as we're doing now, or a trace mark. See here again, Steve. I think we're looking at something that looks remarkably like some kind of a resting trace for an organism, a large organism, potentially a whale, and we're in 2,562 meters of water here. It's hard to believe that this is anything
That's
other
kind
than.
of what I was referring to.
Sirius camera.
It doesn't seem like it could be simple slumping.
I think not.
There's no class for that.
You know, we're on a pretty gentle slope here, and there's no other evidence for disturbance around it.
And there's another one just up the hill here.
Boy, I'm really tempted to say that they're whale resting traces, but I'm very uncomfortable doing that without having a whale expert chime in and.
Co-pilot Nav.
Go ahead, Nav.
Mind if I zoom out on the sonar?
No, go for it.
And here's another one of these. You know, Dan, I mean, you're asking, would the presence of the sponges suggest some subsurface hard substrate? We have seen a couple of these sponges look like they've affixed themselves to small pieces of harder material that have come from somewhere else, up canyon or down slope from above. So that would be my guess. I think they do need something to attach to. In one case, we saw a small rock they were attached to. I haven't seen that routinely, but that's my guess.
Sponge.
Another one of these, what could be interpreted as some kind of a resting trace for perhaps a mammal, perhaps a whale. There's only one general type of whale that we know dives deeply enough to do this, and these would be beaked whales. They've been known to dive to water depths on the order of 2,900 meters. Obviously, we have not seen any evidence for the whale or the organism that's doing this, but certainly seems likely that, and it also seems likely that if there are whales here, that this would be a place they might be feeding, as in a canyon system like this.
There's a pretty big mound, 10 meters off your port
Okay.
port bow.
We'll ease over.
That looks like it in Sirius.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
I think you're dragging your toes a little.
I am. Also needing
There's a
the
big
occasional
burrow.
downward thrust to make
Yeah.
it up the slope here. Burrow.
I'm looking straight down.
Okay, catching up.
Levels up. Done.
More Easter Bunny footsteps there off to the right. No idea what those are.
Tripod on the left.
Looks like the same species.
Yeah.
We're getting beginning to get up towards the top of this slope now. Things are flattening out a bit.
Shrimp.
Bill, you're asking whether or not these traces we're seeing is a resting place or a feeding trace. I've been told in the med that they were actually places where whales actually, I don't know if they rest, but they're actually sitting.
Quick zoom.
Beaked whales, the
Zoom in.
culprits, the suspected culprits,
under command.
have been known to stay
Oh,
underwater
right.
for up to, I believe it's 90 minutes to
burrowing
2
at
hours.
Yeah, you're right.
So this may be an energy conservation strategy for them while they're feeding.
So
So
or
is there a
not.
pretty good current from north to south here?
That looks like a
Actually, I'm
crinoid.
feeling from south to north.
No, I think it's almost certainly down canyon,
Drift test.
Dave. I think
Go wide.
the ripples are across
Star.
the slope here, and it'd be hard pressed to, since
Doubling
up
up,
canyon's
done.
to the left, to believe that the current we saw the other day on the other dive here was down canyon.
Well, let's do an experiment. I'll push out and drift and see what happens.
Yeah, we didn't see much current at all, ambient current when we landed, but these rippled seafloors could happen just because of periodic downslope pulses of current. They wouldn't have to be happening every day and every minute.
Bridge nav?
That the
off to your
currents in the
starboard now.
canyon mouth would mostly be flowing out towards the
Spooked out.
abyssal gulf, which is to our right as we're looking at D2 now.
Ah, thank
Globe.
you. Oops.
A special cameo by the globefish. Globehead. Is that what that was called?
Yeah, let's get a little zoom on this guy. while
Roger.
he's
Zooming. Holding.
Just dropped in here.
Leveling up.
I think he's a bit disoriented. A little more zoom.
Where's zoom I? Holding.
Panning right. Okay. Okay, a little more zoom.
More zoom I?
Working up towards him.
Holding. We might try and frame him to the right just because I suspect he's going to give a little burst as the current pushes him closer.
And that's one of the, we didn't call it a grenadier, and I'm not, Stephanie's at lunch, so it was a roughhead. And I'm forgetting what kind of fish that is.
Yeah, snailfish was the
Was that what it was, a snailfish?
snailfish.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
Dave.
have seen them in
Time to go. I'm looking straight
this
down.
Keathley
Okay.
system before.
Just hang on. He's coming into the
Remarkably
sweet spot
prehistoric
here.
looking.
Okay. See the slow pull?
Slow pull I.
Looking 100 degrees.
No problem.
That's nice. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize we'd be
Pretty good
drifting
view of
at the
that
same
rippled
rate.
seafloor now with the fish in the foreground. And some coarser grained material. Ah, no, there's a really remarkable looking, another one of these, what we're calling resting traces
That
in the
was
foreground there.
us.
Oh, is that
was an
you? Oh, is that you?
anthropomorphic, resting trace there.
That was ROV resting trace. Fair enough. Don't get me excited like that, Dave.
There's a shrimp in the
Yeah.
water, and it
Shrimp
looks
in
like
the
another
water.
Saryanthid on the floor.
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay.
And the shrimp.
Pilots, the ship has arrived at waypoint 2.
Okay. Copy that.
We can just pass through it and increase speed to 0.4 knots.
I love it.
There could be an incredible amount of biomass here, but it's all pretty small.
There's a white object
Can
there.
I get a zoom on the
Yeah.
center?
Come on in halfway, Roland. Let's hold that. Looks
Oh,
like
human debris.
fabric.
Does look like fabric if we can get in tight on the
A
upper
little bit more.
left.
Some type of fabric.
That's where all our towels went.
It's a hide. It's a hide.
It looks like it's rolled down along with the sargassum, rolled
push
down
it
the
a lot
canyon.
more?
Yeah.
Come in. Let's hold that there for a second.
It looks like canvas, actually.
Yep.
And the pteropod shells at the base of it.
We've seen this similar weave other places.
Like it looks like canvas to me. Could be marine canvas. What do they use canvas for? On ships.
Everything.
Thank you, Bridge. What's the easiest way to keep these moving?
You know, I've been pecking around on the web trying to figure out that clam we saw a little while ago.
Oh,
And,
yeah?
I don't know if you remember a few days
Yeah, I
ago
guess we could give
when
you
we were
that.
on the chemo
Stand
communities.
by.
Wide
We saw just a small number of clams that looked a lot like that, and they were probably the that vesicomide clam called Calyptogena.
Calyptogena.
There's one in the Gulf called Calyptogena ponderosa that struck me as being pretty.
You got a little shrimp head swimming in front of us. And we're just holding here for a minute. Let the boat. I don't know. It looks like it's probably sargassum. I'm not sure what's in the back though. Might be biotubated thing.
You see lots of disturbed sediment.
Yep.
No description or confirmed description.
If you want to zoom in on that one in the upper right, that would be nice.
Roger. I'm gonna get a little closer.
You might be getting some hard bottom.
We've got plenty of time.
That's more consolidated at least.
Hey, who has control of sonar? Me. Will you drop the gain down a little and increase the contrast?
Yeah, looks like some kind of
Let the gain down. Whoa.
disturbed
No, this
area.
guy. That's just the TVG kind of gain. I mean the actual sonar gain.
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
No,
Drop-
these two get changed when you move this.
It
Watch
might actually be something in there.
See that?
No, that's the contrast gain. That's not the actual hardware gain. That's just the visual gain. It's like TVG, right?
Then I don't know how to do what you want me
Just
to do.
drop that number down.
This one?
Yeah, drop it down to like 60 or 55.
Oh, this bar was doing that.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't? Oh,
No.
I see.
No. That's the visual gain of the screen. That's the actual hardware gain of the head.
What am I
Go
looking
ahead,
at?
Roland. So drop that down a little bit and then tweak your contrast, which is that screen or those numbers. So that might be a little low. Now go
Yeah.
back and decrease that number a little bit.
Yes, some kind of gouge mark. Yeah. There's nothing really in it. I mean, there's nothing. There's detritus in it. There's no animals in it,
Coming
what
back.
I can tell.
The red.
Stephanie, I don't know if you've been around when Jamie's been talking about whale disturbance of the bottom
Yeah.
seen elsewhere, and conjecturing that might be that.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like something pretty big hit that to make that such a deep gouge. Like, and it was
Yeah,
clean.
to create something that vertical and that unstable looking.
Yeah.
Gravity won't do that.
Right.
Okay, Jeff, I'm pushing.
I mean,
out.
it's
Suppose if some big chunk of something hit from above, it might do that, but could easily be animal
yeah.
generation.
Looks like we
Whatever
have.
was in there was sargassum and your shrimp, and there was something else in there too, some kind of plant material, but
Yeah.
Requirement.
We keep getting this bioturbation pattern. It looks like, I want to say footprints. It's obviously not what it is, but you can see in the lower left. It's like, I've seen that a couple times.
Do we know what it
Wonder
is?
what's making that.
Or we don't.
And Amir Ekirin.
Copy that, Bridge. Thank you.
Looking at you at 018 now.
Laichia.
We're out there a ways.
Laichia. The squid Laichia was between the transects, Mike. Awesome. I'm glad you got to see that. I was worried you weren't online.
This is the Okeanos Explorer. We're midway through our 8th dive of this 3rd expedition to the Gulf of Mexico this year. We're on the west-facing mouth of Keathley Canyon in a water depth of 2,500 meters. We've been crossing a sedimented seafloor, occasionally rippled. Haven't seen much in the way of hard outcrops here, and haven't seen any brine escape features that we thought we might see. We're on a bench now at about 2,500 meters. We climbed a gentle wall. Now we're on a bench, and we're going to spend the rest of the dive once we cross over here climbing another wall. Both of these walls have dips of about 11 degrees. Seen small evidence for outcrops, but no deep water corals yet. And really not much in the way of encrusting biology at all, except for a few sponges. So, hey, we don't know what we're going to see around the corner, so stay with us. This is the Okeanos Explorer, and happy Easter to everybody.
Got something here. Sargassum, something growing on it. Can't tell what though.
Yeah, something on that.
Mucus or
Yeah,
jellyfish.
aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
Aliens. Yeah, looks like mucus. I don't know. Something pinning that seaweed to the seafloor.
That's what I would call schmutz.
That's what you call schmutz.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
technical.
schmutz.
That's the technical.
That's
name.
schmutz, yeah. Bioturbation pattern. It looks like, I want to say footprints. It's obviously not what it is, but you can see in the lower left. It's like, I've seen that a couple times.
Do we know what it
Wonder
is?
what's making that.
Or we don't.
And Amir Ekirin.
Copy that, Bridge. Thank you.
Looking at you at 018 now.
Laichia.
We're out there a ways.
Laichia. The squid Laichia was between the transects, Mike. Awesome. I'm glad you got to see that. I was worried you weren't online.
Sirius would be trailing over 100 meters behind.
Yeah.
you.
Ooh,
At this
some
depth,
kind of
at
jelly or
this speed,
something.
Definitely.
Mike, did you see that?
Yeah, Mike's making a comment that there's been surprising little nekton on this
Seems to be
cruise.
rolling in the current.
Few cephalopods, no chondrichthyans, low diversity of bony fishes. I agree. And I would have thought that in the spring during surface blooms, you might actually see more of that. But we've seen very little. And, the other thing we aren't seeing at all is virtually any trash on the seafloor. We've seen a few bits and pieces, one rubber glove, a couple of soda cans, one in Monterey B, one in the wreck.
We had some canvas while you were at lunch.
We are at a little canvas, but we have seen
Think it's a
remarkably
sponge
little
that hit.
trash, which in this part of the world, which is so heavily populated with commercial oil and gas interests, you might have expected to see more, but we haven't, and that's a nice thing.
So this is a hexactinellid, or glass sponge. It looks like the Eupectella type. Not going to commit to that, but it's roughly what it looks like.
Okay,
Or the wedding sponge.
I'm approaching it slightly as you come in.
Now this one's facing, which direction are we facing?
Well, I think we're generally,
North.
well, we're on this bench now, so I think we're still basically facing, that's up current, or up canyon, let's put it that way. Not necessarily up current, we don't know.
Right. So north.
But I think they've been generally facing to the north or northwest. And we don't know why they would necessarily do that. I think it might be because their long axis needs to be minimized in case of a downslope flow.
That's a possibility.
But they do, the mouths of these sponges, operculums of these sponges do tend to be facing left most of the time, which has been up canyon. Always beautifully constructed. We zoom in on these, I'm always impressed.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Starting to look back.
Yep, you can just up and off of it and they'll pull out.
Gonna come off of this in 5.
Nice zoom there. Maybe did we get lasers on that one before we go? There we go.
About 10 centimeters.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta go.
Another Echiuran fan.
Go for
feeding
next time.
Feeding fan on the bottom.
Again, you can see, subtle evidence of rippling.
Sorry, I'm just used to
Again, generally oriented across the track or we're parallel to the crests and troughs of the ripples, which suggests a current direction that's flowing either left to right or right to left in
following you as you go.
In our field of view.
Lower screen, lower, right below the screen if you can stop or, slow down. Did you get that?
It's a line just off the bottom right screen.
Yeah, bottom right screen. Just below there, the
You'll have to tilt down
screen,
also.
yeah. It might be our worm.
I'm slowing
You've
down.
been
I'm
looking at?
stopping this 9,200 pounds of vehicle here.
Center screen now. Whatever's making the line is at the top of it.
Okay.
Copy bridge, thank you.
And he is, look like he's crawling.
Thank you, pilot. That was wonderful.
Good job doing that without dusting.
Coming in, Rolly. Just stand by for a sec. Get us stable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a holothurian, it looks like.
What are we looking at? The top of the trail or the bottom of the trail?
The top, right where you're focusing.
Yeah, okay.
Looks like him. Or it looks like it was him. Let's see.
I was going to say, it doesn't look too healthy, that one.
No, not sure what this is now.
That was a holothurian.
Yeah, maybe he's half buried. Yeah.
It's gone to the holothurian happy hunting ground.
Closer.
Maybe.
That's what I was looking at. Yes, there's pteropods.
Rotate right, just so.
I thought maybe it's because Echiurans look similar to this, or like long brown and then
Copy.
soft, but this is definitely not a living,
Nope.
whatever it is. Maybe it's more, oh, it's rolled up, it looks like. I'm not sure.
Detritus.
Yeah, let's just go with detritus.
Okay.
Detritus would be my
Time to
learned
go.
opinion.
Lift off as I pull out.
Copy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Certainly enough of it around so that when it sees the low in the seafloor, it occupies it.
Yep. It's stuck in there.
Pushing out. Got to scoot. Notice when you go fast, it wants to lift off. There must be some hydrodynamic lift.
Huh.
The shape of the vehicle.
Certainly nothing in the way of hard outcrop here.
Dave's saying the opposite.
Kind of interesting.
Just sand.
Well, I doubt it. There may be sand in it, but I don't think, well, I can't prove it until I got a handful of it, but I think it's finer grain than that. think there's a lot of organic matter at the seafloor, and certainly the pteropod shells are coarser grained, but I don't think there's a lot of sand in this.
Dave Wright, if you're monitoring communications, could you come to video?
Looks like a large shrimp. This is what I would call a royal red, but
Yep.
I'm not going to commit. Pleodicus is my guess.
Looks like something that looks like another one of those presumed resting traces in the middle distance there.
Yep.
You can see the outline of it. It looks like if it is that, it was a pretty big organism, most likely a whale that created it.
We had one while you were at lunch too. It was like this big gouge.
Yep.
I can't imagine anything.
No, it's got to be a big mammal that's doing
yeah.
that. It looks like something that looks like another one of those presumed resting traces in the middle distance there.
Yep.
You can see the outline of it. It looks like if it is that, it was a pretty big organism, most likely a whale that created it.
We had one while you were at lunch too. It was like this big gouge.
Yep.
I can't imagine anything.
No, it's got to be a big mammal that's doing that.
Because it's like deep and really sharp.
Yeah, and because we're simply too deep. We're at 2,490 meters.
Look at these burrows in a circle. Well, that's neat. I think we could look at that, maybe.
I think they're still switching out. That's the problem. We'll look for another.
Hey, Chris, I just noticed it bringing up the.
You have about 2 hours left. We're off at 3:30.
No, it's going to be more like 3 o'clock today, I think. Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Bringing up? What do you mean?
Yeah, turning it on. Did you observe that? Like I turn on.
Looks like we have a shrimp and a Sarianthid again.
Mini Zeus.
Oh wow.
Zeus plus. It's new information.
Come partial video.
Okay.
Partial eye.
Let's get this shrimp here.
They just used to both go off
Holding
together.
there.
Yes, this is interesting diagnostic information. Okay.
Is that another royal red? That looks like a different one.
I don't know. Yeah, he
Keep coming
looks
if you
different to
got
me
it.
too.
Won't be around for too long. Out of lights probably.
Roger, got him.
Looks like we got 2. There's a
Evasive maneuvers.
copepod or something going by, an
There's a
amphipod.
bunch of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, keep coming.
Roger. And holding.
Oop.
Oh.
No.
Come back in partial on this
Partial eye.
waving thing.
Right. I have it. Acquired. Leveling down.
Yeah, copy. Keep coming in.
Not
Coming
sure
in.
what this is.
I'll creep in as well.
Coming in some more.
It's like some more mucus hung up on a projection on the seafloor or something.
Schmutz.
Level up a bit.
Schmutz, right?
It's schmutz.
Right.
How am I looking, Dave?
Right.
Oh, you're
SCHM.
north of me.
Schmutz.
Copy that.
A little behind.
Good.
I'm gonna let you
I think we
find your
have
way
this.
back.
Unidentified mucoidal mass.
Alright, video.
Coming
Come on,
out.
there's-
Wide eye.
I don't think that's. Find my way back here.
Some Sarianthid anemones. They're kind of starting to increase in abundance, huh?
I have copies.
That looks like a tripod fish. We are attempting to zoom over this area and get to 8.3 quickly. So we have
Yeah, this is
limited mobility.
This is a bench at 2,490 meters between 2 11-degree slopes.
Is that up?
We're going to slow down again when we get to waypoint 3, which is
It's very
coming. We're only
Holothorian-ish.
200 meters or so from waypoint 3. We thought this might be a relatively quiet part of the dive,
I'm
so
not
we moved
sure
across
I'm
it
on
and
board
slow
with
down
that.
again when we get to the slope.
Yeah, it's a swimming holothurian
It's in
eating.
the water
They're
column,
holothurian.
maybe? Or is it?
His stuff is out.
Right.
Partial?
Yes. Partial eye.
correct. We got one of these the other day.
You hold there.
And it's
See if I can
feeding
come
right
in a
now.
little.
They're moving
These are
along.
nice shots when you get them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, come wide.
Wide?
Video. Let's see if we can
Roger.
get a
Busy.
little closer.
Too busy to.
This one these species seems to be a little more hardy than the other one that just flips over to.
This is amazing.
That's me on focus.
Oh, that was me drifting down. Sorry.
Gonna level down a little. Right
Copy.
in there.
Keep coming if you got it.
Yeah.
So cool.
Gonna come out a little, give him some room to walk into.
Copy.
Oh, he's one of the ones with the curly feeders that roll and unroll.
Keep coming if you got it, Ed.
Sure.
I don't know how much.
Now, has he got a current coming
You can see
from
how
behind him?
his skin is almost, rippling in the. I wonder if that's internal or if he's got water flowing over him.
Trying to capture that feeding
Yeah,
activity
no,
at the
that's
bottom of the frame.
Right. We'll just hold there, watch him for a bit.
Very snuffleupagus.
Bridge, Neff.
It's like something out of a alien movie or something. It's
Hey,
so
when we
weird.
get to the end of this
Tilt down,
move,
or
I'd
we all
like
the way
to
down?
call in a new one.
Maybe laser.
200 meters, bearing 100 at 0.2 knots.
Lasers on.
There they are.
Rolling right through is fine. Yes.
So Mike says the
0.2.
ripplings from water flow.
Thank you.
It's
Getting
external.
Close on time, Ed. How
Okay,
do
no,
you
I
feel
think
about video?
we've got him. Let me see if
So
I can
cool.
get anything closer.
Yeah, I'm a little out.
Yeah. No, I think we've got this guy as
As
nice
fascinating
activity
as
to
he is.
capture.
Yes, he is so
Coming
Coming
fascinating.
out slow.
Okay, I've gone
Okay.
beyond you a bit, but I passed
Okay.
directly overhead.
Copy that.
Fascinating
Activity
as
to
he is.
capture.
Yes, he is so
Coming
Coming
fascinating.
out slow.
Okay, I've gone
Okay.
beyond you a bit, but I passed
Okay.
directly overhead.
Copy that. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks,
We have that.
pilots.
Thank
That
you,
was
pilot.
nice.
You're a full wide on all cameras.
Copy. Thank you. Let me catch back up to Sirius here.
We periodically have to run to catch up when we slow down and look at something that D2
Just
has to
barely
run.
still in the fisheye.
Get ahead of Sirius so that it doesn't, the tether doesn't get
That
tight
was really cool.
between
You
the
can
two.
see the musculature working inside that sea cucumber.
Well, we got some
Ripple
great video of it the other day
across
too.
the surface.
Yeah, it was rippling. It's weird.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's full throttle. You notice he runs up on you too, altitude wise.
Yeah.
Got another shrimp at the bottom.
Directly below me.
Copy that. Keep coming.
I really want Mary to see these so she can tell me if I'm right on them being. We might have some little bits of rubble or something. I wonder what that is.
Could be another.
Sargassum.
Yeah, let's get a zoom on these, Chris,
Copy.
if you would, please. Looks
Might
like
just
we've
be
got.
sargassum.
Yeah, it looks like we got some
Go
holes too,
partial,
though.
Ed.
Maybe.
Partial, Roger.
Yep, burrows. That
Holding
looks like
there.
it could be Keathley burrow. This one has two ends,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
which would be the blind lobster.
Certainly have we have sargassum occupying the lows.
Yeah, I see that as well. Or it's moving in current. No,
Keep coming in.
yeah.
Somebody might be pushing that out of there.
Looks like a little face on the in the
Doesn't
dirt.
Come on.
Doesn't seem to
Wide.
be a
Shadow
problem for
rotate.
the organism that made the burrow to have the sargassum wandering around.
Wider?
No, that's good right there.
Maybe
Okay.
he uses it as a door.
And then lasers, Chris, when you get a chance, please.
Copy. You can throw them on, Dave.
Lasers coming on. There you
Maybe we
go.
can peek down in there.
I got him.
Well, the
Crab?
inhabitant is there, I believe. or an inhabitant is there. I don't know about the inhabitant, but there is
maybe
something
get
there.
you.
Looks
Oh,
like it
there
might
we
be a
go.
crab.
And he's gone. Yeah, well, that's.
I could probably still get them from here.
I think
Okay,
you know
keep-
where I've
keep
seen
coming in.
burrows like this in the
Roger.
Med, they've been crab burrows.
Yeah.
And he pulls the door shut behind him, his sargassum front
Sorry.
door,
Oh,
and he.
I'm just gonna stay focused
off.
back
He's
there just in
taking
case
off.
you.
Any way you can bring him out?
Coat hanger.
Come up a little for you, Ed.
I might go do a nice rack focus here. That's too bright.
No worries, pilots.
Yeah.
Down. Alright, Ed, we can go back in and see if we can get him.
Yeah, let's see what's going on down there. I think you've got the camera lined up nicely.
I'm really gonna have to sneak up on him. Ooh! I thought I saw some eyes in there.
That's really good.
Maybe not.
I'll try and boost my blocks real quick, just see if there's anybody
Yeah, he's back
in
there
there.
a ways, isn't he?
Actually ran out the back door.
Very
Just
nice.
sneaking up
Concur.
Very nice view of that
Yeah.
burrow. Crab condos, we were calling these in the Mediterranean.
Nice door. Yeah, I think.
Yep.
It's landscaped. It's everything you'd want on a seafloor dwelling.
Let's see if there's any.
Pilot, I don't know if you can make it there with the time you have, but about 10 meters ahead of you, there's a target that's been there
Come wide if you're down
consistently.
there. He holds that.
Cruising to the seafloor, where he will set up shop.
Come on, camera.
Pretty neat.
Hardly ever get to see him swim.
Yeah,
Alright.
they usually.
Alright.
Something left. Yeah, Mike said it. You know, often see tripods swimming.
Yeah, yeah, we were making that comment as well. The fish we just saw is what we call a tripod fish, which sits on its one of its tail fins and two stiff. I guess they're part of their pectoral
Pecs,
fins,
yeah.
and just waits for prey to come by. You know, might want to take a zoom there. I have a sneaking
Human.
suspicion
Like
that
trash,
is man-made.
Yeah, human debris.
That is rope. I was just making the point that we hadn't seen
Okay.
much debris, and then we see some.
Come on.
Coming
It's,
line.
And then we see this
strand.
tripod fish swimming around, which
Tie
it's hard to
wrap.
know whether that is
Yeah,
in part
it is a
related
tie
to the
wrap.
disturbance created by passage of the D2 ROV, but probably is.
That one's still good.
Pretty featureless seafloor here, no ripples. Some burrows. Not seeing much of the way of nekton.
Bridge Neff.
And not too much on the seafloor either.
Hey, how much do we have left in this move?
What's that video?
Copy that, thank you.
Coming in.
Might be another one of those clamshells.
Holding. Focusing.
Who knows what that is?
I can come in some
Keep
more
going.
if you want,
Yeah.
Roger.
Test of some kind. Looks like a sea biscuit, maybe? Broken sea biscuit?
Huh.
Sea
So
biscuit.
it's a type of echinoderm or relative
Yeah.
of the star?
Haven't seen one of those on the seafloor before. May have seen one on the seafloor, but we haven't seen the
Keep
test.
coming
a little
out.
more wide.
Yeah, usually they're, when they're alive, they're
Leveling
actually
down.
covered in little spines and 2
Really?
feet.
Really? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
So this
And
is
usually they're burrowed, which is why we don't see many of them.
Right.
okay. You can come back in.
Going back in. Holding.
So you can see the pores on its side.
I can
Or
give
the
you a
2
little more
feet
if you want.
Yeah, you can come in a little bit more. All right.
All right. I think we have
Come.
that.
Command in ahead of time. So you just synchronize that. You know, you start to react automatically.
Right.
You know that if you're gonna
There is absolutely no ripples, huh?
use high
Well,
forward
we're out of
thrust,
the we're out of a ripple
throw in
zone here
the
now.
Increasing pteropod
Down.
shells.
proportionate
Look at
amount
that.
of down to
Yeah.
Little
keep
white
yourself
specks
from
everywhere.
kiting up.
Right.
It's all
Something
feed
ahead of
forward
us.
compensation.
Fly trap anemone. All right.
Kind of have the bad side of it.
You're out in front. You've got time to play. I hear candy wrappers.
Is it a fly trap anemone?
It certainly looks like it to me.
I think that's the first one we've seen down in the canyons, in this canyon, as far as I recall.
Definitely the first
the
one
three
this
dives we
dive.
made.
Yeah. Oh.
They do like some kind of hard substrate, I presume, so there must be something for that anemone to attach to not too far below the surface.
Yeah.
Down low like that?
I was just messing around with it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you sure would think so. And this is one of the questions we had was just how common fly trap anemones were. We saw quite a lot of them on the shipwrecks, but at least on shipwreck A especially, but a few on the other two as well. Not nearly quite as many as on the natural, not as many on the natural hard substrates that we've been looking at over the last few days.
That's my fault. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Those shells where I throw my scope
We haven't
off,
seen
makes
much
me
hard
feel like
bottom
I'm
though, so that might be
overexposing, but there's no detail there to be had anyway. I'm going to come out
a
with
factor.
detail.